quick to respond with the Nautilus, the reliable engage as they go through the game.
Someone's been scrimming DRX, haven't they? T1 pulling that out from their LCK brethren, and there's the Nautilus. Just gap close, engage, lock down these immobile carries.
And that's exactly what they want to go for, but now my eyes drift towards mid lane, right? We've seen mid lane go the whole way through the draft. That's going to be the Silas ban coming through, and we know how important Faker and Xiaohu have been for both sides on trying to get control over that mid lane, trying to help out those side lanes, and especially against an Ashe and a Heimerdinger, it feels like that mid prio for Xiaohu to try and help dig out bot lane is going to be crucial.
I wonder if Akali is the pick here for Xiaohu with that Silas ban. The next ban here that comes to mind is Azir when you think of Faker. Silas, Gala already taken off the board, Lissandra as well. Both these mid laners very supportive in the way they play for their team, making sure the side lanes can get ahead. They'll have to blind pick top. I wonder if Camille is something worth blind picking already on blue side. Fiora Jax is down. We'll see what Breathe has to counter it if that's the direction Zeus wants to go in. Picking Jace is good, but then you're playing a lot of range champs. They might need some kind of frontline here.
Yeah, I mean, Sejuani is still up and available, right? So that's the one that I'm probably looking at. Even the Maokai has managed to slip through the draft thus far, so could actually see a very different role for these guys on top side. It's something that Breathe has played domestically, where he's gone more towards those tank tops, but we've seen him tend more towards those carries at this international event.
LeBlanc Silas spells Akali to be, but they're gonna remove the Talia. There's so many mid lane bans here, and we'll see what direction Xiaohu wants to go in. They can also pick something for Breathe here and try to counter mid, but I think on the current patch, counter picking top has a little bit more value, especially with this many carries down. It's gonna be the Rise. Will facilitate the team very well, but still a lot of options here that both these mid laners thinking. I think Akali is the pick because of the bans. You know, Silas, LeBlanc, two matchups that can do well into it, and we'll see what Faker has to respond with.
Yeah, I mean, with the Talia ban, I wondered if they're intending towards the Azir here for Faker, which could do relatively well, especially when you look at just have the ability to keep control over that mid lane, allowing Gumayusi and Keria to keep pushing on bot side. And then, I mean, you open up so many options for the Graves as well. Invading off of bot side prio and mid lane prio could be a great opportunity for Oner.
I think T1 needs some frontline here. I was talking about Camille because of the Jax Fiora bans. Are they actually going to go for it? They need some kind of supportive mid then if they decide to lock this in. It will be a carry top, so Breathe, what's your answer? This is a plan from T1 to blind this Camille from blue side. 1, 2, 3 bans of Fiora Jax, but I feel like they lack a little bit of frontline right now.
Taking their time to find what Faker can bring to the table. You heard it from Chronicler, incredibly deep champion pool historically, but what will he play in this instance against the Akali, a pick that has been crucial for both these mid laners? Viktor, again, utility is what we've gotten used to seeing from both mid laners. Instead, the control mage, the carry. Faker's brought it out once before, and he'll do so again.
I think GP has to be the pick here for Breed. You have to imagine this many immobile champions up against the Camille. They have a lot of damage here, T1. We'll see what Breed wants to go for.
This is his speciality. This is a pocket pick that he actually has in the LPL. So this couldn't just be a hover. This could actually be the lock-in for Breed.
Dagda, you didn't warn us about the Riven. We talked about unpredictable champions. Okay. All right, it's fine. Just troll everybody. It's all right. Renekton now coming in. Not the spiciest answer, but certainly a champion who can do very well in isolation.
Wow. Okay, so we've got on T1 side, we have 4 range champions with a Camille. That's not really ideal for the Camille. She likes having things like Rakan or Gali or things that can follow up on her engage, but she has a lot of damage behind her. You know, you think of the arrow, the Viktor ult on top of the Camille ult. They can lock someone down if they want to. RNG quite mobile though, and have a very strong kind of front to back in the sense they have people diving on top of you, so T1 will have to kite back.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of where you open up opportunities for the Heimerdinger to try and get some stuff done, but I think this is really going to play down towards how can T1 get control of these pushing waves and use that to their advantage, right? It feels like for RNG, if you end up getting a couple of these early skirmishes going your way, you get to play for team fights. That's where most of your strength is going to be.
I wonder how the junglers will juggle the lanes on both sides. Viktor will get early mid push, but past 6, Akali will have a lot of kill pressure, and Oner will have to hover. Gumayusi Keria wants bot push. If they lose bot push against the Nautilus, it's really hard to regain control on those Heimer turrets, so I think we'll see Oner go down there to make sure they get that bot push and then go towards top lane. I think Camille, Renekton, there's a lot of snowball potential there.
And we know how incredibly crucial Game 1 can be in the context of this series. You saw it at MSI, you heard it on the desk as well. Winning here, getting that momentum, showing that the Heimer and Ashe are viable or potentially unviable as we move later and later into the series. Could be everything for both these lineups. I want to see if T1 can do what they did to EDG in that first game. Split the map up, never let them group, never let them team fight. But honestly, RNG feel like they have the tools to fight back. This is going to be an explosive Game 1.
Yeah, I'm very much looking down to see how can Wei try and interact with this bot side. Like, can you try and help out Ming? Because you do have the Nautilus there. I mean, great engage coming through if you can close the gap, if you can set it up, but also very squishy on the opposite side.
Here we go then, Game 1. of the World's quarterfinals. T1 up against RNG. Looks like right now we have very standard level ones. No invades coming out from either side, but Keria getting a little bit of vision down with his turrets. The fans are going wild.
And this is exactly what you want when you're in an arena like this, the deafening roar. How much louder you have to speak to your teammates on stage to overpower the sound from the crowd, or to you, Dagda, yes, at this very moment. And so as we have this brief break, we have a pause. We heard so much about the history and the rivalry of this matchup. Instead, I want to talk more about this game in front of us as the T1 chance start in earnest. What is the focus point here of the game? Both these junglers have been so crucial for their teams. Where are we expecting to see that attention?
Bot lane has to be the first prio for T1. I think Oner needs to path down there and make sure that they get this bot push, because that's rule number one for this draft. They've actually gone for the AD carry Ashe, support Heimerdinger, as we saw DRX do. Hail of Blades, Ultimate Hunter, approach velocity. This is a very gap-closing Ashe, but T1's actually late invading top side. They know that Wei wants to path bot to try to deny that push and look for early 3v3s, but T1 already on the aggression, 1 minute and 30 seconds into the game.
I mean, this is just a great call from T1, right? They've managed to move in as a unit. They've now pushed Wei to that bottom side, and it's not like RNG are going to be able to get too much done on this bottom half of the map either. So this is exactly how I want to see Oner starting this off, get in the face of Wei and make him uncomfortable.
I completely agree, Dag. I love this call to split the map here at this point. The Ashe and the Heimerdinger are going to provide so much lane pressure already. Really forces Wei into a situation where he has to get something done. Meanwhile, on the top side, the setup is excellent with the Camille there, and really going to make it harder for Breathe just to survive this laning phase.
I think Oner needs to cross back into mid, into bot side and defend his bot camp. So I don't know if he will go towards top. Yeah, this is the smartest thing to do. You don't want to leave your bot lane in isolation and have a full split map. Chunk out Xiaohu, get Faker the push on a slow stack, go towards his red. Now Oner has two options here. He can go to his red and secure it, or he can go back towards top side as Wei will probably expect him to be bot side, right? It's a little bit of a game of chicken going on here between the junglers, but Wei's best bet is just to get level 3 and look for a gank bot.
It looks like that's what he's going to try and go for, clear out this Gromp and then immediately go in towards bot side. Ming had taken a couple of bad trades, and you're still level 1 here for the RNG bot lane, so not a huge amount you can do even with Xiaohu roaming, so curious to see exactly how Wei wants to try and approach this.
A lot of respect here for the T1 bot lane. They're very aware of what could happen. Oner needs to cycle through these camps. This late invade's fantastic, but jungle needs to get ahead. Actually looking towards mid here, Wei.
Wei fishing for an angle. Hasn't started channeling the stun yet. Is going to lock up Faker. They don't have the kill pressure yet. He's too close to his tower, just trying to get a little bit of damage down.
The thing is, though, if you're able to chunk out Faker here, get pushed for Xiaohu, maybe you can use the fact that Breathe has control of top side to try and move in onto the top side, but now with Breathe taking a bad trade and the fact you didn't really chunk out Faker as much as you were hoping for, it looks like you're just going to be put very far behind his Wei in these early stages.
Oner.
This is not a fight Wei wants. Locked by the smoke screen, forced to dash out early. Luckily has the mist to retreat to safety.
I really like what Oner's doing here. Red buff advantage in the early stages in jungle is so important. Having that red buff over your opponent means you just win out the 1v1 so cleanly. So Oner's actually just matching whatever Wei does. If he runs through mid to top side, Oner will match the crab because he's always going to be stronger regardless of prios. Mid push helps a lot in this case, but Oner wants to keep power farming, get as strong as possible on this Graves while also denying camps from Wei.
And I think this has just been a great draft so far from T1, right? You take away the Graves from Wei, you set up now for having a pushing lane in mid, pushing lane in bot that you can continuously invade off of. So now that you've got these advantages, it becomes very easy to continue them forward. As Xiaohu needs to be careful.
Forward ticking over. Still has the pot. Still holding on to it at this stage. I guess feels comfortable. Might just back here, I guess, TP back to lane. Doesn't want to use the pot. Instead, opting to stick around. Of course, Faker burning so much of his mana to keep the pressure up, to keep harassing Xiaohu.
Raptor respawns coming through almost 4 minutes, 20 seconds into the game, so Oner's going to run over there to get the respawn, but Wei is already based and has double longsword, so this fight looks Oner favored with red buff and the level advantage for now, so Wei's just going to have to go for the fight, though.
Yeah. Good trading. Conquer already procced.
A lot of damage.
Back and forth there. Oner going to have a hard time getting through the Raptors. Faker now moving up. He's got an E, maybe a Q in him in terms of mana, but won't need much else. Gets the camp, and mid priority being used alongside Oner's jungle advantage just to secure another camp.
And that's the biggest problem with Xiaohu not taking that reset there. He's not back in lane, he's not full health. Faker is able to come across, and maybe you could have tried to contest the re-invade with Faker that low on mana, but now it means that's just another opportunity for Oner now to move into bot side, get another crab, move in towards Gromp, use that bot prio as well. It becomes obnoxious to deal with.
The T1 mid jungle here playing as good as possible, just cycling camps, keeping mid push, using the buddy system to bring Faker along with him there. Oner manages to get the bot crab, gets his own Raptor respawn, expecting him to base very soon, but making sure he's always there to match Wei and take his camps from him. Xiaohu has used the potion, so I think after this wave he will have to take a base. Faker low on mana might take one of his own. Has the biscuit if he wants to really pressure here, but with Oner basing, you want to make sure you're on the same page here. Faker taking a base while Oner takes a base means you can come back out on the map at the same time and contest these camps on the third respawn.
Yeah, and bot lane is just going to reset here for RNG as well. They've been doing a relatively good job of staying even in CS. You haven't seen the turret plates go down either, so Ming and Gala managing to keep some control over the lane for the moment, but it does feel like once you start to get this lead expanding for Oner, as you can see it there, 200 gold lead for the T1 jungler, that's where they can actually start to put even more resources in towards this bot side. Keria getting a reset here, getting that vision control that they need as well to ensure there can't really be plays around mid lane to try and break that mid jungle control T1 have right now.
And we'll see if there are any more explosive plays once RNG's bot lane ticks over to level 6 and they have so many more hard engage options. But similarly on the top side, Breathe, level 6, very, very important for the Renekton. Camille's comparative power spike, much less significant. But for now, Camille keeping the pressure up, and Oner leveraging this jungle advantage so well, leveraging the strength of his lane so well, just to make sure that Wei is never comfortable and never the one starting a game.
So Oner's threatening a top dive here because Wei's red buff is respawning very, very soon in around 20-30 seconds time, so he wants to bring Zeus with him. You notice how he brought Faker with him to Raptors, now he's going to bring Zeus with him to the red buff respawn. Faker will have push on his own because he has the sword shoes, he can move first, and he's been around that lane the majority of the game, so threatening a top dive, forcing Wei to cover, and then bringing Zeus towards this red. We'll see if he starts it up because he's in the vicinity. Zeus will have to go back to catch that wave, so might be on a bit of a mistimer here. Oner has all the information he needs on the top jungle of RNG, who might come to slow this down, but because Zeus is pushing, Breathe has to catch.
I mean, the wave being cleared out means that it does make it a little bit easier now for RNG to try and contest this. Xiaohu underneath tower, though, won't be able to join in. Going to just see if Wei can steal this one away.
Might smoke screen so big there, denying the vision. He has to get through it, but he won't be able to in time. Stolen red buff for Oner. And again, the stranglehold T1 has had on this top side jungle, so crucial, especially as you look at the Herald spawning in just 50 seconds, and he's not done. Everything in the RNG jungle belongs to Oner.
Wei has smite up, Oner doesn't, so he's going to back away, but bot crab is spawning. He has bot push, all of Wei's camps bot side are spawning again, and T1 still have that mid and bot push. Wei smartly there, doing his best. He went through top, got XP on the wave, leveled up to 5 and see if he could contest. But now with the crab dying, with the Ashe, he's spotting out Wei there. Maybe Oner invades once again.
And I think it's a really good job here for T1. A lot of teams would kind of let up on the advantage that they have here. We're trying to take a dragon or starting to move towards these neutrals. But as you can see, T1 are just relentlessly punishing Wei. And it means that he's just falling further and further behind. Yes, they won't have the dragons for the team fights, but if Wei is just completely out of the game, that's not going to matter anyway.
Ming is in the area, but he just can't do anything. Keria already matching him. Faker already moving down. T1 just so consistently first to the play.
Have to back off here, though, because Faker has to go back towards midwave, and Xiaohu is here in a straight-up 4v4 with Ming engaging onto a single target, and Xiaohu with the gap close can get a little bit dicey. For a brief moment, they had the numbers advantage, but Oner had to go for the reset because he didn't have a smite advantage by the looks of it. Didn't go for the 50-50. T1 just maintaining his bot push.
Yeah, and I love the vision that has been set up by T1 on this top side as well. Because one of the big things that you could start to see is them potentially moving the Renekton down, but both of them are actually blocked off. One vision at the side of Rift Herald, one at the back of the red as well. Makes it very difficult for Breathe to try and sneak in and have an effect every time he sets up the wave in his favor.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's a pink here. Wei's clearing out a pink there, and another pink down here, so they have so many pockets of vision on entrances to just use the information against RNG. But RNG are holding on pretty well. Top still even, mid lane is even, bot lane is even in isolation in a matchup where they're getting constantly pushed in. So credit to RNG, it's only Wei the one who's falling behind. Oner's just trying to put himself as far ahead as possible. Now with the Umbrella division, the game will get a little bit easier. All T1 have got so far in this bot lane is a plate.
Zeus still aggressively trading on the top side here. Only the sheen to his name, but still at least holding on.
And technically, if RNG kills someone on T1, Wei just gets all that gold back, right? Because he just steals the body and then he's good. So maybe there's an angle here, you know?
Yeah,
Give me the copium.
How I know you ran it down on Viego and Solo. You hold that thought, though.
3v3.
Objective being contested, starting with the Fury. Renekton all ready to go in. They're going to try to burst down one target. Blow him up by the reset. That's money in the bank, baby, because Wei, he's taken Zeus' body, and he's looking to finish the job. Going to the wall. One more. He's going to pick up the grapes. He can lay down the smoke screen. Xiaohu on the backside. Faker. And it's reset Silver Wei. And that's it. You cannot take this man out of the game.
RNG make it happen on the Herald fight. Wei was behind. They forced the play. Gumayusi had an incredible arrow to get Breathe down, but RNG come away with 4 kills to 1.
RNG with the 1, 2, 3. That was beautiful for Wei to pick that up. And just as I was saying it, I mean, you kill a couple of people, suddenly Wei gets those items, he can pull himself back into it, and we'll get it here as RNG set up for the Rift Herald.
Beautiful turn onto Zeus. The clear comms, just flash W, commit everything. Now it looks like it's going to turn here for T1. Watch this arrow just come in straight onto Breathe. Oner flashes away. Breed looks like he will die. Xiaohu's low and Keria's arrived. This is a 3v2, but Wei kills onto Oner, gets the reset. Faker's out of mana, gets a full Graves combo, lands the ult onto Faker, kills him and gets the reset. Triple kill over to Wei.
And Xiaohu, not even close at the end of that. Amazing stuff. And the key thing to note, though, was that the Rift Herald did go across the T1. So when it comes back to on the map state, we're still going to be looking, oh my god, a T1.
Breathe, trying to clear as much of the wave as he can. Holding on, getting this stun down. The ulti around to reset the tower aggro. T1 with the clean dive. They've got the Herald and they are firing back. They will not let that last fight slow their momentum.
Yeah, the pace of this game is not going to slow down here. Wei's already on the cross map looking for the dragon. I expect Herald to be placed here on this top lane. Yes, they went 4 for 1 in that 5v1, but they managed to pick up that Herald. But Breathe has TP, so I'm not sure if Oner will decide to drop it or take the base. But the kill goes in favor of Zeus with the tower drop. The Herald is placed down, it looks like. Xiaohu's moving up. Breathe can TP in 5. I think the tower might be dead already, though.
Yeah. Should get the charge here. Should be Breed. He's going to be able to at least give that first tower across. And Zeus will have to try and step up. Zeus has been the strongest top laner when you look statistically at the World Championships. First in goals, damage percent, damage per minute. Basically every stat that says you're a good top laner, Zeus has outranked everyone. We need to see if he can try and carry forward here again.
As a mid lane, Faker stepping forward, staying into the creep wave, trying to avoid the stun, trying to get the 2-man. But again, the burst is too much for him to survive.
Wei is such a huge driving factor in this game for RNG. He got put behind, made the Herald fight so winning in their favor, and now has found another kill in mid. Faker, the mist was behind him, but I'm not sure if his camera was around the bot side of mid there. Gets caught out regardless. Another kill over, picked up the dragon too. So Herald's already placed, neutrals are gone for the next 3 minutes.
And now it becomes so hard to try and play through the 2v2 of the mid jungle when you try and even look towards topside, right? Because Divine Sunder already completed for Wei. He's a 300 gold bounty on his head now with all the gold that he's managed to pick up. And we talked about Ming roaming being such a big factor. He's looking topside.
He will be spotted out by the Hawk shot. Oner on the way up, but we talked about it in draft. We have to highlight it again here. Reliable, hard CC engage. It's mostly the Ashe hero. It's mostly the Camille. When it comes to jungle versus jungle, Graves, yeah, it's got the damage. Yeah, he took control early. But the hard CC, the immediate setup, it is so hard for T1 to lock targets down in anything less than a full-on 5v5.
Yeah, the glow up for RNG over the last couple months has just been fabulous to watch. They were 1 game from not even making the World Championship. You know, LNG almost took them out in that game 5. Almost getting reverse swept once again as EDG managed to do so against RNG in the first round of the regionals. But now, despite being the LPL 4th seed, fantastic plays. Group stage, a little bit shaky, but they managed to pull it off and get out. And now here in the quarterfinals up against T1, great lead so far in game 1.
I mean, it just feels like the meta is shifting back in towards what was RNG's style. Ming on engaged champions, carry junglers coming through for Wei like the Viego, even Breathe having his opportunity to play more carries. It just feels like this was what RNG made their name on for when they got rid of Uzi, when Xiaohu became the standout player, the name of RNG.
They need to keep the pace of the game going, though, here, RNG. They need to keep fighting, looking for these picks. Renekton, Viego, Akali, they're really skirmish-heavy. Neutrals are exactly where they want to fight, but with 2 minutes left, they need to find something.
Stun over the wall, looking for the follow-up. Zeus, hookshot, wall dive out to safety. Not really a play here. Wei, unstoppable, getting pulled back. That is too far. He will get taken down. Big shutdown, and now Breathe is next on the chopping block, but he will slice his way out to safety. No dice for the follow-up. He has to turn, and they cut him down.
Oh, Xiaohu's still looking though. Zeus is low, but I don't think he'll be able to get on. A big disconnect there from the top side of RNG. Wei goes too far, doesn't know where Oner is. And Breathe, he was back on the wave. He wasn't expecting anyone to go that hard.
This is the strongest part of the map for T1. Zeus got a full tower and the gold was even despite RNG having the kill lead. He had a Sunderer as well, so overcommitting their way just gets caught out by the Camille. No way out, and Oner still has that natural 1v1 lead despite those 4 kills. He can still put up a fight looking at the items. Baker will be helped out a little bit here with Xiaohu moving towards that top side, but Zeus, such a star player for T1 this year, now incredibly far ahead.
And we saw the perfect blueprint for how RNG want to fight. Hold that thought. Instant flash reaction there from Guma. That cooldown could hurt in fights to come.
And I think that perfect blueprint is why I'm looking at the Dragon in a minute 15, right? You're going to be looking at the push coming through on top side for Xiaohu. He's going to keep that one there. Breathe is going to move on towards mid to keep that shoved. And for RNG, it's about trying to see if you can set up for these 5v5s. If you're able to come in from multiple different angles against T1, they're not very good at taking fights on multiple different flanks.
Oner down on the bottom side. Arrow up and available. Cleanses there for Gala. Locked up, instantly cleansed out. The man does not miss.
Guma's just been forcing that out every time we look towards bot. I'm surprised the bot lane is this even. I think they managed to pick up a couple of plates on that tower, but Gala's farming very happily, has the Gale Force first over Gumayusi's Mythic. No cleanse though, and I think they were forcing that out before the next dragon spawns. Guma should have the ult for it, and we'll see if RNG decides to contest, because it looks like Breeze's just holding top waves at the moment.
Keeping an eye on it, of course. Faker opting for the Crown of the Shattered Queen, so important when there's so much burst damage on the opposite side. The thing we have to track, again, saw it in the Herald fight, the ability for RNG to burst down a single target. That is the key to the resets for Wei. That is the key to getting the most value you can out of the Viego. T1, though, bullying their way into mid lane, throwing 3 members down here just to get control of the area. Do not want to give this Herald up.
Looks like RNG want to play more for the side lane, see if they can get this Rift Herald and crack open some of the turrets, but T1 already here.
No Ashe ult just yet. RNG are stuck in this corridor. Don't want to go too deep because the turrets are there. We'll see if they go for the contest. Ming has no flash though. He can't really go in. They'll just turn straight onto him and he'll fall. I think RNG are going to push mid and try to move to Dragon here, see if they can get there first.
Really want to get something out of this play because they already spent so much time in the area. They already committed 5 members.
Yeah, Zeus is moving back topside as well, so it looks like RNG should be able to just outnumber T1, but you have to be so careful about where they're going to put that Rift Herald. They could immediately put it down in the mid lane.
It also goes to that top tier too. Ping's coming down here from Oner. They know they just committed 5 members towards that bot side. This would be a massive injection of gold into the T1 top jungle once again if they herald this, but the wave isn't there in time. Oner's going to try to help Zeus push it out as quick as possible. They have vision on Wei and Xiaohu, and they see Gala mid, so they might just go for it anyway. And then RNG are going to go for another cross map, see if they can dive Faker. Zeus has no TP. Usually has the arrow.
Dive. Can be everything. Xiaohu now kicking things off. Faker trying to delete the way. He thinks the tower's going to keep him safe. He's buying time with the stopwatch. The ulti's taking the arrow. Will not connect. RNG will walk away empty-handed, but T1 will not. Tower on the top side already down. Another charge now coming in. Ming and Breathe doing what they can to respond, but Zeus and Oner are just getting stronger and stronger.
I mean, RNG will hold on to the inhibitor turret, but now we got the TP mid. We're going for it.
Holding off, baiting, waiting, hoping to get some kind of summoner spell, some kind of advantage. Gravity Field going to zone away Ming and Gala as they try to clear this one out, but T1 taking over the map, taking over the top side even more.
I mean, big play from Faker there, managing to get the stopwatch, hold the tower, make sure that they actually weren't able on RNG's side to get the cross map they were looking for. And now Zeus is huge, and if he ever manages to get on towards Gala in a team fight, that's no more AD carry for RNG, so stakes now very much starting to shift over towards T1 once more as this game goes on.
All the gold leads in top jungle there, you can see it on your screen, 1.6 over 1.5 in jungle and top. Zeus getting towards that death dance, and the Renekton will lose out on the side lane, and you have to wonder how useful the Renekton will be. I mean, he'll be a flash W to help Xiaohu gap close, but that's about it at the moment. Camille will win out on that side lane when the second item comes through, and bot tier 1 is up, so T1's game plan will be pushing in mid and moving towards bot, giving a little bit of vision to Faker already established in that top river where he can push out these top waves safely and play for this 4-man bot side. Gala taking a base right now, T1 looking for a little bit of vision.
I love that they've actually matched Xiaohu against Zeus here as well, because Xiaohu's the big threat on the side lane right now. Like, Faker can just permit clear against Breathe, so you actually have to be trying to focus top and mid to make sure that you're able to keep up on the map stay with T1 as they look to rotate towards mid lane.
Yeah, they've collapsed both sides towards mid. RNG look like they want to contest vision. Blue gun on the Aphwlios, but I don't know if Gala can clear out this wave with those 4 range champions.
Gala stepping up, so much damage, arrow now to follow. Clean sidestep comes out, but the tower already down. T1 immediately walking away. They got what they came for.
There's 3 towers to 0 right now. It's so hard for RNG to contest vision.
T1 are just playing the map faster. You still have Gumayusi and Keria that have good push. Faker pushes faster against either of the 2 melee champions on RNG's side, and Zeus just beats them with the gold that he has in his back pocket. So trying to match these plays from RNG is becoming incredibly hard to do because they're behind on tempo. And I mean, RNG doesn't really look like they're going to be able to get it back anytime soon, except for maybe that dragon in 2 minutes where they can try and force a fight.
And again, credit to T1 because this was their game plan from the start, isolating that top side, forcing Wei out of his comfort zone. Yeah, there were some hiccups. Yes, there were 4 kills given to the Aphwlios, but since then it has been so incredibly clean. They have a massive gold lead now. Dragons, the only thing they have to be worried about, but with their vision control that they've been pushing forward so incredibly steadily, it's going to be hard for RNG to get the objectives first. And if you're walking into a Heimer and a Viktor, you're losing every fight.
You are, and I feel like Viego is still down in XP, still down in levels, hasn't really found his way back in here, Wake, but can be incredibly strong if he gets a reset onto Zeus or Oner. RNG relying on that hook so heavily so that Breathe and Xiaohu can get the gap close and follow up. No dragon for the next 1 minute 40 seconds. Baron is spawning, and T1's Baron can be pretty quick with the Heimerdinger. Faker's actually the one going towards this bot side. We'll see what direction the T1 take this, because with no towers top, Zeus can push this all the way to the tier 3, and it can threat the TPs on Faker's lane.
But that's why I think for RNG, give up this next dragon. actually don't try and fight it. You just look for, and if you look at where the map is, look for the pick onto Zeus. You give a dragon, it's not the end of the world for T1, but trying to get tempo, trying to get this map back under your control is probably your best bet to make it. But T1 have already established a ton of vision on this top side, so Zeus playing it incredibly safe and not giving RNG that opportunity to find that pick ahead of the dragon.
And RNG just hoping to catch T1 sleeping, but it's so hard. There's an Ashe on the enemy team who can throw out hawk shots before anyone has to step forward and check on vision. They're at least going to take away the crab, but not a lot else for RNG on the map at this point in the game. Maybe they could try to force a sneaky Baron, but again, T1's vision control across the map is immaculate.
But look at the amount of vision that T1 is starting to get on this bottom side now. Like, we were talking about RNG wanting to try and come in from multiple flanks, make it difficult for the zone control that T1 have, but now you just got to push mid and try and walk in as a group, which is perfect for T1 to set up turrets, set up Ashe arrow, and look for the pick.
Ashe arrow heading onto the Nautilus. Where's the follow-up going to go? Xiaohu looking for an angle onto Zeus. The whole team being split now. Hookshot wall dive forward. Unstoppable happening. Brought Zeus back in the team. That's going to be big. The ult now coming in. Gala on the backside has to do everything, but it just will not be enough. Gala! The shutdown, maybe it will! Can they turn it here? No, T1 holding strong. Both sides trading blow for blow.
1 for 2, so it goes in favor of T1. Maybe a little bit too deep there from the top jungle. Gala had perfect guns to look for the turn, so T1 just call the fight off. The second they get those two members down, they can turn towards the dragon, they can turn towards an objective and get the hell out of there. They don't want to chase into an Aphwlios.
And a rare mistake from Ming as well. Missing the anchor toss in the middle of that play means that they don't lock down Oner as quickly as they'd like. They don't lock down Zeus as easy as they'd like. And means that T1 are able to scramble into control. And now, again, with those kills going across, T1 get to move over how they'd like on the map. But, I mean, it's a great start here from Gumayusi. Gets on towards Ming, who is very squishy, opting in towards the Glacial Augment. Don't quite get the burst out. And now Zeus, as he goes super deep, watch the hook here from Ming. Just misses on towards both Oner and Zeus.
Yeah.
And that means they're able to get back to safety, tuck themselves in behind the wall, and start this front to back against RNG.
Gala, so many chakrams stepping up. T1 realize how strong he is. Xiaohu goes a little bit too deep there, thinking the chase is on, but second he falls, there's no one on the front line dissuading T1 so that Gala can step up. He's picked up the Bloodthirster. The dragon wasn't taken. Zeus was hovering around it. I thought maybe he'd started up with Faker on the way, but that never happened. Breed actually not really getting involved whatsoever in that fight. Xiaohu being such a big carrying factor in it. And now the TP's coming out from Xiaohu on the spot side, maybe looking to flank T1, but they're up towards the Baron.
That's the thing, Breathe burnt his TP in the last fight to try and join in, was late to the party. Now Xiaohu burning his TP to get here. They want to get control back on River and look to see if they can catch T1 in movement.
T1 have a lot of pressure here in the sense that Zeus can just keep pushing top. There's no TPs on the solo laners of RNG. They need to make a play quickly if they want to get this dragon, because Zeus will just keep pushing until someone responds. And if you start dragon, he'll TP in. So T1 have 2 lanes of pressure right now.
And it's so hard to start a fight. You need flash from Ming to try and set it up, but that was gone in the last fight. So now the depth charge isn't as easy. So Zeus, using the fact he has that TP available, manages to take the top tower, and T1 fall back towards Baron, but RNG are in the area.
This is iconic. But if you remember MSI, the way RNG came back in game 1 was a steal. It was on Viego, it was Wei who leapt into the pit, who took it away from T1. And I feel like they remember, they're backing off. They don't want to flip it. They don't want to risk the 50-50.
So that was a very interesting call because it was just a 5v5 Baron start. I think what T1 did there was they started Baron, made RNG come into their top side jungle, place their pinks down, and they hesitated a bit in deciding whether T1 are actually going to do this. And when RNG respond, they pull off and go towards Dragon. So now RNG have invested their wards this top side and they can't get into the bot side of the map.
It's such a good call from T1 because, as we said, like, this is where T1 want to know exactly where RNG are. If you can set up correctly, it makes it very difficult for RNG to make anything happen. And even the fact that Zeus have fully pushed in the wave top side means there's very little opportunity for a cross map for RNG. They might get the tier 1 here, but you can see Faker and co are already making their way up there.
T1 are putting pressure on every point in the map, pulling RNG around. They have to invest TPs to defend. They have to lose in towers as they try to group up to contest T1 in the mid waves. Arrow hits onto Wade.
Unstoppable, though. He should be able to make his way out of this one. Very long stun, but as the movement speed steroid from the mist, can walk away.
And I think this will continue because Zeus still has the TP. Faker's TP is coming up. Zeus can now pressure this bot tier 1, looking for these towers as RNG have only picked up that one in the top lane so far. T1 trying to get some vision down here, get some pinks in the pit, maybe look for a Baron, start to bait RNG in once again.
Yeah, I think T1 are just going to wait until Zeus is in a better position on bot side, actually threatening that tier 1, the tier 2. Then they can start to move in like you're seeing now, get that vision control, get those deep wards, because realistically you want Zeus coming in on a flank if you're going to fully contest for this inhibitor on the top side, and that requires you to have that vision deep in the jungle of RNG. And even if RNG try and contest, immediately Zeus comes in, you've got the ultimate there, you start the fight, you should be able to win numbers advantage.
Yeah, you hit the nail on on the head-to-head tag there. T1 can always decide what fight to take. And right now, their macro has been flawless. Just gonna get this bot tier 1. And playing on 2 lanes constantly. RNG, it's a bit frustrating to play against this kind of playstyle because they're always pulling you around the map and they always have vision on the side you want to play into. You can see the amount of vision here from the towers, from the wards. Difficult to sweep out because T1's just hiding around the corner. But they need some vision and they need to look for an engage. Maybe just a flash hook from Ming as Zeus is pushing out bot with that 5-second window. Maybe they can get the first kill, but Gumayusi's flash is coming back up soon. Oner's as well. So they've got more defensive tools now, T1. They're playing very respectfully.
And it's so hard to dive onto someone like Viktor. Obviously one of the big carries we get later in the game, but he's itemized so defensively because he knows as long as he doesn't go down, the fight gets more difficult. Zeus is so far ahead, you're not just one-shotting. You're not one-shotting Oner either. They're both so incredibly fed. Breathe. Gonna struggle more and more on the side lane as the Camille gets more items under her belt. 2.5, about 3 waiting when Zeus goes back and buys. You can see big damage, but even with the tower helping, they're only trading even.
Not looking good for RNG at the moment. Even the fact you can see Xiaohu trying to push in this top side, trying to get something back in the favor, but this is where this Heimerdinger and the Ashe become obnoxious. You have so much push in the mid lane, makes it so incredibly hard for you to actually have the numbers that you can move over to side lane, because look at where they are, right? You just consistently shove those waves in and make it a 1v1 on side lane.
RNG are giving most objectives here, and they're just keeping their eyes laser focused on the Baron. I think what they're waiting for here is the 3-item Aphwlios. Gonna build towards that Dominix. We'll see if he goes towards IE after that, but that 3-item spike might be enough to shred through the front line of T1, which can be squishy, right? They don't have huge health bars, they just have good defensive tools in the armor, and he needs to shred through that armor here. Gala needs to get that 3rd item, and then RNG might start to press forwards a little bit more. Xiaohu 2 items on a stopwatch, clearing out some of this vision top side as Breathe hovers around mid.
It's so hard to burst out T1 though. Zanya is trying to shatter Queen, the Immortal Shield Bow, even the Death Stance on the top side as well for Zeus. Like, you need to make sure that Gala can actually free hit for a while here to just get through the amount of survivability that is there in T1 despite the low health bars. So I still think for T1, the fact they're playing this slow, they're playing through their lanes, they're not taking any risks that they don't necessarily need to, so that then RNG can get back in this game.
It's a good call out. Discipline in this moment is so crucial because, again, RNG are a team that you cannot afford to underestimate. They steal objectives, they win team fights at gold deficits. This is something LPL teams are legendary for, and RNG is no exception. T1 don't want to give them that avenue back into the game. And again, almost flawless. Outside of that one Herald exchange, it feels like T1 has been dictating the pace. They've been outmaneuvering RNG. And this is something RNG are going to have to be ready to adapt to in Game 2 regardless of how this game goes, because they have been choked out of this entire mid-game.
And I think it's going to be a Heimer ban. I think it's going to be a case of, look, we're not ready for this. They don't look comfortable playing against the Heimerdinger, and suddenly that makes draft significantly more interesting, right? Because we saw how much pressure was put towards topside with the Jax, the Aatrox. I mean, this is where you start to see if RNG can actually now contend with T1 that might be able to pick up a few more pocket picks for themselves.
Yeah, the Camille blind pick doing a lot of work with the Jax Fiora bands. We'll see how RNG dissect that puzzle in Game 2, and we'll see if they can claw their way back in right now. Gold, obviously not in their favor, but T1 very far away from a soul, so they can just keep pressuring Baron Vision, keep getting items on the Aphwlios, and keep slowing the game down. Renekton, not the best scaling, of course, but when you have Aphwlios and Viego, there's always that fallback option. 18 seconds on the Dragon. T1 know that if they go towards it, then RNG will look for a Baron. Yeah, trying to zone him away to make sure that they can't get this.
That is the ultimate for Faker down though, right, as the Dragon is about to spawn, but Wei might be able to smite his red, get himself back into position. Greed gonna match the push on bot side here. So it looks like T1 once more, playing this nice and slow, playing around the push from Gumayusi and Keria, and making sure they can just keep dipping into the fog of war that's in these jungle areas for RNG and take back control.
T1 are constantly matching RNG. From the start of the game to now, Oner matching Wei on every play, T1 as a team matching RNG on every play, making sure they cannot get an objective. You want Baron Vision, we're gonna push you out to the point where you can't start it up. Now when we go to Dragon, you can get a little bit of vision, but you don't have time to start it because Zeus is already on the way over. There's an arrow, but Zeus might be a bit too far.
I don't think they're going to fully commit for the play here. Breathe, very tanky, but does look nice. Definitely solid accuracy from Guma thus far. The game has been clutch on the arrows.
Would have been incredible if Breed started channeling TP and they started forcing Baron as the arrow connected. You know, it would have been clutch, but
it's Game 1. Game 5, maybe. Yeah,
maybe.
Game 1, you take it slow.
Maybe, indeed. And Oner now almost 100 CS up, 3 levels up on Wei, despite getting those 3 kills on the Herald and the kill on mid on Faker. Haven't really found anything else since. Drag him down for the next 4 minutes 30. All eyes are on this Baron area still.
Again, diligence in denying this vision from the side of RNG, that lonely control ward, giving them just a bit of info. 3.5 items now for Gala, a little bit less than the half at this point as he works towards the IE, but hard to find time for the fourth. It's really on T1 to push this game forward. Always are going to have the option of just grabbing more Drakes, of leveraging their map control to try to take more objectives, but at this point in the game, RNG, while they are falling behind a little bit, holding the gold lead at about where it's been for the past 5 minutes.
Still, RNG trying to see if they can contest in towards River. It's just becoming like, even though it looks like RNG are fighting somewhat, it's still just small advantages for T1, right? Where you're consistently pushing in, you're getting a tower, you're starting to push RNG back, and it's about this like slow, methodical gain of ground through mid, through top, through the vision that you have in these jungle areas that is making it obnoxious for RNG to try and deal with, and they're just never going to be able to put up a fight. Like, you can just keep playing this as T1 and just choke out RNG as you look for dragons.
That's the thing. If T1 make a mistake here and RNG steal the Baron, it's a disaster because you now lose all your side lane push. Heimerdinger can't get mid push into Baron buff against Aphwlios. All 3 lanes of RNG will start pushing back, and there's so much standing gold. Mid tier 1, bot tier 1, there's so much that RNG will get if they lose this Baron, so T1 are being very cautious around it, making sure they're finding the exact window to start it up, and if they can't find it, they'll just keep stacking dragons.
Yeah, look, it's accounting. It's not sexy, but it's by the numbers, right? This is the way that T1 should be trying to play this, and at the moment, as long as they can keep that control, they're going to be in a good spot. And you can see long-range poke from Keria, from Viktor, like, it all works out well. They can just keep pushing RNG back, and without Ming kind of being their guaranteed engage tool with that depth charge, well, they're free to just keep walking up and just keep pushing RNG back.
Here's the window. Looking for a TP out of Breathe here, I think. We'll see if they finish it, because Zeus can turn onto Way and ult him.
Way, go unstoppable, can go over the wall, arrow coming in, they're gonna try to lock him down immediately, but Camille says not getting into the pit now. That's the Baron for T1, they want to keep things going with Gala. So incredibly strong, Gale forcing forward, wants to finish off Zeus, 1 kill. Then now, the reset coming out, Way. All the strength, all the itemization of Zeus for now, but T1 get the Baron, they get everything they want, really.
Great execution. The only way T1 can stop Way getting in the pit is the Camille ult, so Zeus sacrifices himself to get a 4-man Baron. I think it's worth overall. Yes, big shutdown over to Way, but when Zeus respawns in 40 seconds time, that's when T1 will start to pressure the map.
Yeah, I mean, the only kind of saving grace is that you don't have Zeus with that Baron buff now for RNG, so trying to put a lot of pressure onto bot side might be a little bit difficult, but the rest of the team will be able to keep up this split push at the moment, and just a really nice call. Zeus immediately goes in, you see the Ashe arrow goes in as well, and it just keeps everyone out of the pit. T1 bursts down Baron, and yes, Zeus will give his life, but well worth it in the end.
Yeah, and that ping cord over the wall there to spot Viego in his miss to make sure that Zeus can find the right timing. Jumps over a 2k, and that was the call from the get-go. Way gets a big shutdown. A smile on his face as he picks up that gold. He's a rich Viego. 2.5 items now with a stopwatch, but still 4 levels down up against Oner, who's just been playing for camps, playing for XP, and can split push on Graves with this Baron buff if he wants.
Certainly, and it just gets so hard now for the side of RNG because Gala is really your only reliable wave player. Oner, really confident to step forward there. Not entirely sure it's 1v1, so he will back away, but it is going to be about weathering the storm of this Baron power play from the side of T1. The gold at this moment, because of the massive shutdowns, very unimpressive. More important, however, is that they get the big objectives with this buff.
And with Dragon just about to come up in a minute's time, I mean, you can see the way that they're trying to use this T1, just dipping in towards the shadows that is the jungle of RNG, using the pressure that they have on side lanes, and Zeus as well, TP available, pushing in this top end. So if RNG don't deal with Zeus would just take that top tower, and right now, Breathe has no TP, so you need to double commit Breathe and Xiaohu to actually deal with Zeus on the top side, or honestly, he would just 1v1 either of the solo laners from RNG.
Mid tier 2 is the objective. Last kind of tower here for T1 to crack open to make sure they have full map control. Their tier 1 mid is still up, so the amount of control they'll have is incredible.
Trying to kick the fight off, they caught Goma! That could be everything. He goes golden, but it won't stop the rest of the team. Immediately Breathe is under the backside. T1 are now pulling back. Viktor doing so much damage to Xiaohu, but Xiaohu turns his attention to the squishy Heimer. But the death ball of T1 retreats, and Breathe will not find another kill. It is Zeus on the side. It was Zeus in the early game. Oner coming to back him up, and how could you have it any other way? Jungle and top of T1 again, finding the fight and making it work.
It was slow until it exploded for T1. A realistically desperation engage from RNG that now gives T1 game 1.
15 seconds on Ming. Breathe and Xiaohu still 40 seconds away. It's Gala and Way versus T1. 4 versus 2 to hold on. I don't think they have enough. Gala doesn't have the ult.
Stepping in. Smoke screen clutch. Gala has no way to follow up. Trying to clear the waves as quickly as they can. RNG holding on. T1's fastest game before this, or slowest game before this, 29 minutes. RNG holding on for 5 more minutes than anyone else, but they're not just happy with that. They want to look for more. T1 for now, breaking 1, breaking 2. Backing away on the third inhibitor, but want to kick fights off again. Gala locked up, he has the cleanse finally just in time. Way, there's no one for him to reset off of. Ming leaping in, but he will walk away empty-handed.
T1's Baron buff was falling off as they were hitting the Nexus, and they thought the Aphwlios would clear out the wave, so instead they called to take double inhibitor, look for the third, but the respawns came in time so that they had to back away. That's the last saving grace for RNG is that bot inhib. They can hold against 2, but they cannot hold against 3. I think RNG being a bit sloppy here, they've fallen apart over the last few minutes. Breathe in that last fight just kind of dashed in and then did nothing. He just stopwatched as he went over the wall. The initial engage looked good. Gumayusi has the stopwatch, but keep your eyes on Breathe. He doesn't go for the kill onto Keria.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Ming ends up getting stuns means he doesn't get the depth charge up. As you say, Breathe goes in, immediately stopwatches, so there's not really any opportunity to get on towards the backline as he does. I mean, T1, heal for Faker, Breathe doesn't have the damage, and Gala's out of the fight.
And Xiaohu has to invest his R2 to kill Keria, which is someone that Breathe should have dealt with so that they could go together onto Faker, but regardless, they're just so deep in that fight that I think T1 would have won anyway with the kite back. There's the Guardian Angel for Gumayusi, and did lose his summoners now, but he has the defensive item. We'll see how T1 play this out. Zeus was looking for Xiaohu, but bot lane is where the pressure will be.
Yeah, I mean, look, that last remaining inhibitor is a bit of a silver lining for RNG, but it's not much to write home about at this stage. You should have T1 in full control. They get another dragon. They're able to look towards Baron in another minute, and how the hell do you even try and peek outside your base here as RNG when you've got everything pushing in towards you?
It's so hard. And I feel for Breath and We, wow, that was a hard pronunciation.
Breathe away.
You've got
Breathe
this.
away.
I believe
Breath
you.
and
Nice.
We. No, we're not going to go with that one. That was just an absolute brain moment. But it's hard because at this point, if you dive in, your backline dies. If you stay back, their backline kills your front line. There's not really a lot of good options. Execution has to be flawless here.
They don't have flashes on those solo lanes, RNG, so it's really hard to get onto T1's backline with 4 range champs. Zeus wins out against both solo lanes, so they're looking for make a pick onto him. He'll dash away and join his team. RNG will lose this inhibitor, and T1 will keep up the pressure. 3 minutes on their soul, 40 seconds on Baron. T1 could just turn towards the Baron as the inhib waves come in, and then have buffed up super creeps on all 3 lanes. That ward will be swept out. T1 looking for an engage, and they'll pick there. Ming has no flash, and they have an arrow. I think that could be an easy target.
I think they're just waiting for these super creeps to hit the base so they can try and fall back, make sure there's pressure on towards the Nexus turrets as they start to go away, but maybe not. I mean, top wave needs to try and crash at the same time here.
Here we go.
Flank. This is it, the last desperate attempt, but they catch Oner. They need the reset so desperately. Waiting on the ultimate from the Aphwlios, waiting for them to group up. Gala knows that this is the one that could decide the game. Breathe on the backside, now trying to lock him down. Faker burning, Faker ticking. Can they get the reset for the Viego? Yes, one more hit. They will find it. But still, T1 with the advantage in the fight. Gala on the backside, immediately the stun now coming up. Gala, desperate to survive. He's getting ticked away, he's getting knocked down. The ulti will not be enough. Way trying to have his hero moment, but T1 say not today. T1 striking first in the best of 5 as they knock down RNG.
RNG were trying their best to hold on, but it got to the point where no matter when you engage, T1 will kite back with those 4 range champs, and they will out-damage you. First win over to T1 in this quarterfinal.
I mean, a fantastic opening game from T1, right? The draft was perfect. They knew exactly how they wanted to execute. Slow and steady. They knew how they wanted to play in towards the mid game, and making sure RNG never